Have you ignore me. Guys?
So what's happening, guys?
Not much. We're here for the, obviously we're from Fort Hays. We're here for the Higher Education Day, just come and talk with representatives and senators about higher education funding, and just kind of like to talk with you a little bit about that.
Sure. So, well, I guess the main question is, do you have any ideas of how we can get more money without raising taxes?
Yeah, and I know that's the big problem.
Yeah, that's an issue.
Everybody's dealing with this. A lot of people aren't happy with that sales tax increase last year. So,
well, the sales tax increase, if you look at it two ways, I didn't particularly vote for it. Maybe not because I didn't like the sales tax all together. It was the fact that it was the method they used to get it. In other words, if you watch any legislative process, we got two houses that are supposed to iron out the differences, and there's a particular procedure they can use if they got the votes to just skip over the House and do what they want to do, and that's the way this happened. As far as repeating the sales tax, that is a budgetary item that's built in. So right now, if you were to vote to repeal it, one thing it would do, and I chair of transportation, so I've got a deep-seated interest in that. That begins after a few years to suck upwards of $180 million away from the highway plan. And they've already used the transportation department as their bank. They've taken $200 million here. They've taken about $1.2 billion out of the highway plan since the last 5 years. So it's pretty critical. Yeah,
and I know that's one of the things. I don't want to knock my friend who's from Colorado, but you can definitely tell when you leave Kansas to go to another state, the roads definitely are better quality here. So it's difficult to try and believe that. We don't want we want to be able to maintain our roads. So
and the if they built the sales tax in, to go back now and repeal it, then you've got a little bit of a problem, but I can see.
Yeah.
What else? What other issues?
I said most of us were supposed to be here for Higher Education Day, and we talking about that. But I also kind of was wondering what you thought of the safe Kobox, Secretary Kobox voting.
The voter ID identification.
Yeah, because
it'll be controversial, but from a common sense standpoint, what is the problem with producing identification to vote? It's the greatest freedom in the world. It is free, with the exception there has to be some what do you call it? I guess accountability for your presence of being here and right to vote as a free person. So if they don't have something, it can only go one way, and that's downhill.
Yeah.
So somebody has to start the process. The voter ID thing doesn't seem to be a problem in some of the states that have it. I don't know why it would be a problem in Kansas.
No, and that's the one thing, like to have actually present your driver's license to vote. I think that's a great idea. I don't see what, it's I'm thinking from a college student standpoint, because a lot of us don't have, we're at Fort Hays, we don't have our birth certificates close to us. And that's kind of thing that we look at and we say, well, if this, if I have to produce and I'm already registered to vote, but I have to produce my voter registration to register to vote with my birth certificate, there's a good chance I'm not going to be able to vote also, and so, we have our concerns about it. It's more of we don't want to see student voter registration, which is already extremely low to begin with, basically drop off towards almost nothing.
Correct. So, I can agree with that.
And that's when I read it, I thought, this is some good stuff, and I got to that part, and I was like, oh, this is not. It's not. It seems like it's. I know he's going after. His big thing is the voting fraud, and being from Southwest Kansas, we can see that there is.
Sure.
There it can be there, but it seems like
well,
students are.
As every bill goes through a process, they have to have some safeguards. Talk about the students. They shouldn't, and they can't deprive you of your right to vote. So there has to be some kind of a thing, maybe with the colleges recognizing the fact that you are a full-time student, you had to get whatever provision it take to get there, and if you got a driver's license, I think they'll work it out, because it would not be right to deprive you of getting to vote.
Yeah, and that's my biggest concern when I look at otherwise. I think it's a pretty decent bill.
Yeah. They'll definitely, it will never, if it goes through both houses, be the same as it is when it's first introduced, because that's what the process is about.
Right.
So I know where Jacob's from. Where are you from originally?
Gunnison, Colorado.
Gunnison, Colorado.
Yeah, well, I was born in Manhattan, but my parents moved to Gunnison when I was 1 or 2. So.
Yeah. Gunnison's a pretty place.
It
Always
is.
liked Gunnison.
It's nice. That's one of the things that drew me to Kansas was, especially Fort Hays, is we have a college there in Gunnison, but to come 500 miles to Fort Hays, it's actually almost $4,000 cheaper than a college that's a third of the size of Fort Hays.
I have a great admiration for Fort Hays. I have a grandson, 2 grandsons that went there, Matthew and Bradley, and Bradley is now doing student teaching at Russell, Kansas, some coaching. But other than that, I remember Dr. Hammond coming to us one time and said, and it was a tight budget year, and he said, you know, I'm not going to stand up here and beg you for more money. I'm going to increase my enrollment. That's exactly what he did. So you have to have admiration for somebody that has that kind of a push.
And that's when I was at Sterling. Because I first went to Sterling College. That's one of the things that drew me to Fort Hays was because to go to one of those private schools, it's $22,000. I mean, I've accumulated more debt in my year and a half at Sterling than I have in my 3.5 years at Fort Hays. So.
Absolutely. And Fort Hays is a good college.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of state funding goes to helping us be able to afford it and make it more affordable at Fort Hays.
Fort Hays is more dependent upon state funding than any of the other Regents institutions because of that low tuition model. That's why it's so important to us, why we were able to bring 20 students here. This is the full court press from us.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, Fort Hays, and we hear good things about Fort Hays up here, so we're most pleased to hear that. Are there other issues?
I think those are the 2 biggest ones. I guess of my concerns. That if you've got,
Yeah, we have an appropriation bill that was late on us, and I have to sit in the chair this morning while we hear the recession bill, which is going to be an interesting. Are you going to stay around and listen to any of the debate?
I think we managed to try and get out of here fairly early. There's basically everything except for Fort Hays is closed down in the Hays area, and there's talk of I-70 getting shut down as well. So we may wrap up. I think we have one more meeting after this one with Representative, I can't remember her name. Now that I think of it, we have a meeting with her, and then we're probably going to try and get out of here. At least the
Yeah, my sister, my brother-in-law had surgery in Hays this morning, and it was a repeat. He had kidney stones that couldn't pass, and they had to go in and remove them up there, and then he had to go back to have a final one taken out. They did that this morning. And my sister just texted me and said everything went well. Says she said you probably can go home today if you feel like it. She said it's snowing too bad. We're just going to stay here, so we're not going to try to fight it.
So, but yeah, if we end up getting stuck here, I think that'd be an interesting to come sit and listen to some of the debate.
Yeah.
So.
How about you have any questions, sir?